You are listening to Come As You Are, the podcast. My name is Amanda, and I am joined by my two friends, Tyler and Stephanie. We are a trio of coaches coming together to explore life's biggest topics. Each episode, we hold true to our name, Come As You Are, by showing up and going live. Whatever we bring to the table that week is what we talk about. No scripts, no planning, just real and raw conversations. And audience participation is always encouraged. Our mission is to create a space where vulnerability and authenticity take center stage. And we believe in the power of deep conversations and soulful connections. So, welcome to the show. We're happy that you're here, and we invite you now to just sit back, relax, and enjoy today's conversation.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy Friday to everyone.
We are here again.
Yes.
Yay. And today, what day is it today? International Women's Day. Woohoo!
Oh, it is.
Yes.
I am the worst when it comes to all of the days. And I mean, International Women's Day, that's a big one. I mean, there's like really silly ones. It's like International Donut Day, which is, but like I'm so bad at remembering all of those dates. And I'm always like, I always get on social media and I'm like, oh, it was this day today. I could have made a post about that. And I like completely forget all the time. So
I just imagine that one day, I will have this sort of schedule where I just look up the days, maybe like a month in advance. And then I know, okay, this is something I can start to think about, right? And then it's really confusing being someone that consumes social media from different nations.
Oh, no.
Oh no, Stephanie, she was saying her internet wasn't that good today, she said.
Oh no. This is welcome to Come As You Are, where we come as we are. Like,
Here we are.
Here we are.
Am I back?
You're back.
I think you're back.
It says my internet is super bad. I don't know. I can switch to another one, but I may have another fallout if that happens. Let me try what happens when I switch. Okay. I don't know. I just threw in like International Puppy Day. Do with that what you will.
Oh, okay. Well,
there's a day for everything.
There is a day for everything, and there are like apps and calendars out there that will tell you, like they'll send you what day it is so that you can post about it and whatnot. But like I mean, could you imagine if every single day you just showed up, you like woke up and you were like, oh, what day is it today? And you like wrote a post and celebrated whatever day it was. Like that would be like really bad social media, but it would also be kind of funny because there's just a day for everything now. And then sometimes there's like 4 events going on in one day. And I'm like,
there's a day for everything. There's an app for everything. There's a show for everything. I feel like, this is kind of a theme here.
This is actually a really like spark of a really good conversation around I don't know if it's around consumerism. Maybe it's around consumerism and how much like stuff we have now, just in general. Like there's so many shows now, like you were saying, so many shows, so many apps, so many this and that. And like there's so like, it also kind of taps into abundance of like, there's so much out there. Like we're so plentiful, but it's like a twisted abundance. Cause it's like, do we really need all of the noise? Do we really need all of the stuff like all the time? And like, is our lives better off because we have so much now? Like that's a big question.
So much of like noise, you mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, just like conveniences, like I mean,
Oh,
like
yeah.
like everything. Like, there's an app to tell us when we have to poop or when we should poop, you know? And there's like, you know, 40 million streaming services now with millions and millions of shows and like content, and it's like, and yet somehow we're still bored. Somehow we're still not fulfilled. Somehow we're still unhappy.
Mm.
And it's like, why? We shouldn't be. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know. That's what was coming up when we started to talk about how many days there are and how there's always an international something day, and like, it's great that we celebrate so much, but like, do we need it all? Is the bigger question.
Hmm. What I'm hearing from this, and I'm in that boat, is it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's great. And I mean, a day like today, International Women's Day,
Mhm.
that's I would put that aside. That's different.
Yeah,
But
that's
if there's
totally
like
different. But International
pancake,
Donut
yeah.
Day.
I always go with like pancake day or
Mhm.
puppy day or I don't know, Christmas tree day. I'm sure that's a thing too. I don't know. That's where I'm like, is that just an excuse for people to post something?
Well,
I'm wondering.
it's all to me, I think it's all a marketing ploy.
Mhm.
It's how can we drive consumerism? How can we get people to buy more?
Mm,
Oh, it's International Ice Cream Day. Go out and eat all the ice cream, and it's literally, and I love ice cream, y'all, but like, it's one of those things like, we're just so wrapped up in consumerism and in buying culture. I'll tell a quick funny story. It was, I think, last weekend. Um, it was Saturday, and my sister and I and her boyfriend, we were going to go do something. And I was like, oh, what are we going to go do? And my sister's like, well, we could go to the store. We could, I want to go to the record store. I want to go do this. And I was like, well, okay, question. Do we need to be spending the money? Like, straight up serious question. Like, do we, like, is it a good investment? Like, do we need to purchase another record? Do we need to go buy another t-shirt from the store? Do we, like, because usually, like, that's what we do on Saturdays is we go walk around malls or shopping centers or something where, we're programmed to go purchase, to go buy. And it's like, wait, and I asked her, I said, is there anything free that we could do? Is there anything like that doesn't involve spending that we could do? Because personally, I don't know about y'all, but like the world is becoming so expensive now. I feel like I can't even go out of my house without spending like less than $100 anymore. You
Mhm.
I go to a store, I go get lunch with, someone, like a day is like always now like $100. And I like it's that I think I'm feeling like the money, like the money exhaustion of like spending.
mm,
I don't want to spend anymore.
mm,
This is so interesting. And for me, what I'm thinking about is the shopping, the stuff, right? Like attaining more stuff versus going out to just have an experience or a walk in the park, or like, how are we creating memories as opposed to just accumulating more stuff? And like,
Mm.
I love some of my stuff. Like, if you told me to get rid of some of my stuff, I would probably be really upset. I know I definitely would be really upset. But do I need more stuff? I mean, I could convince myself maybe, but do I really need it? Like, I don't know. And I joke all the time because I have a massive collection of eyeglasses. I love like glasses. And I have like maybe 2 or 3 drawers full of like glasses. And every year I go, and to the point I go to the same store, the people there know me, and every year when like the new stuff comes out, they're like, oh, I picked the perfect ones for you. I know exactly which ones you're gonna like. And I buy more. And so my family jokes, and like, do you really need any more? Not really. I don't need them. Right? Like I can still see with the old ones, although my prescription did slightly change, but still, I can still see with them, right? But I always say, like, well, do we wear the same t-shirt every day? Right? We wear a different t-shirt every day. So why wouldn't I change up my eyewear? Like, it's an accessory. It's like, but when you really think about that, what does accumulating the stuff for me? I mean, maybe it's like, a style thing. It's an accessory. It's a fun, like it's fun to do all of these things, but do I really need that many pairs? Do we need like, an overflowing closet of stuff? I don't.
But I would guess that you're not judging yourself for having all these pairs of glasses.
No, because I buy more.
And exactly, because I think that there's a difference between what Tyler was describing, that we probably have this like hole inside of ourselves that we're trying to fill with stuff. So we're buying from a perspective of, oh, I'm lacking something. I need that to make myself feel better, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Versus being in this state that you described with your glasses, Amanda. That's bringing you joy. So you're not buying them because, oh, I need to look cool, or everyone knows I have all these glasses, so I need to buy more to maintain my image, right? You have a wholehearted reason to do that, which is you wanna experience joy by wearing these different types of glasses. And it can look like from the outside, I would say, that when someone buys a new pair of, I don't know, let's go with something else. I don't know, headphones or a new phone or whatever fancy gadgets we have, or you buy something for your decorations at home or new clothes, that we can come from this perspective of, oh, I really need this right now, but then is it still going to bring me joy tomorrow? No, tomorrow I'm going to regret having a huge like hole in my credit card, right? So that is, I would say, a purchase from a scarcity mindset, from a mindset of, oh, I need this to fill the hole inside of me. So those are two different things, I would say. For me, it comes down to this,
love
like,
that you made
creator
that
versus
distinction.
consumer.
Yeah, I love that you made that distinction too, because there's nothing wrong with having our collections of things, Amanda has glasses. I collect notebooks, I have a whole drawer full of like blank notebooks that I will someday write in. I know I will, I just have way too many than how often I use them right now. But like that brings me joy, and I think that is a big key to this conversation is like mindful consumption, mindful consumerism. Are we buying just to buy because we're trying to get like a quick hit of happiness? Or, are we buying because it genuinely gives us joy? I've for the last like several years, I have really gone down the rabbit hole in the minimalism space, like listening to all things about minimalism, reading the books, like just going down this rabbit hole of like less is more type of philosophy. And it's funny because I call myself a minimalist with a maximalist like flair, because I have more stuff than the quote unquote like true minimalist, but it's it's like finding that balance of like that mindful consumption, like being, like stopping to ask yourself the question, do we really just need to go to the store just to buy something? Or as Stephanie was saying earlier, maybe we go to a park, maybe we go outside, maybe we go, we find something free to do, that's going to, and I don't know if that was Stephanie or Amanda now that I'm saying this, but like maybe we find the experience, we make a memory versus spending the money, and I've so fallen in love now with gifting experiences
Yes.
versus like buying stuff for people. Like I would rather spend money on like concert tickets because I know that's going to be an experience. I'm going to have a memory from that versus, I don't know, like another outfit that's just going to get lost in somebody's closet, because they've already got 30,000, shirts hanging up in their closet or something ridiculous like that. But like, it's that experience. And I think it's that like we live in such a state of abundance right now that I think sometimes abundance can feel so overwhelming. It can feel like there's just so much out there. And how are we intentionally trying to find the platforms, the streaming services, the stuff that is bringing us joy versus feeling like it's weighing us down? Because I know I'm not the only one feeling that way, feeling just weighed down by all of the stuff that now makes up our world. Like you can't even like trying to pick a restaurant now is like impossible because there's 50 restaurants all within like a 2-mile radius, and you're like, which one do we go to? And I recognize I go to the same ones over and over and over again. I stopped trying to be adventurous when it comes to restaurants. Like I go to the same ones. I like the same things, and like that. I don't know where this conversation came today, and I don't know why it was inside of me, but I feel like I just had to get it out.
And you know what I think we've already talked about this, but I don't know necessarily we've put it into these words. And I feel like this is important to mention too, is that, all the stuff that we're accumulating, and I think this is absolutely what Stephanie was alluding to before, was like all of the stuff, is it that external stuff that we're using to validate our self-worth? Like, is it that external, oh, look at all the stuff I got, like, look at this, like filling that hole, filling that void, as we've talked about it. I just love to throw that like self-worth piece into this conversation because I think it just makes so much sense because we are just sometimes buying stuff, right? I mean, myself included, I could say I've done like, a little shopping here and there. I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit upset, or, I'm going to get a sweet snack because I'm feeling sad, right? And that's also put in our faces everywhere, right? Like, how many movies have we watched where, the person goes through a breakup and they're eating the ice cream right out of the container? Like, how many times have we seen this, right? So like, it's right in our face. It's everywhere. Just like the puppy day, just like the donut day, like all of these things. And I just think, to fully do this conversation justice in bringing in that conversation also of our self-worth. And are we using these external things to make ourselves feel more worthy?
Oof.
I'm thinking of like having this check-in question with myself before I buy something, to ask myself, okay, if no one ever saw this, would I still buy it? If I couldn't ever show it off to someone, would I still buy this right now? or like will that still bring me joy in the future, like in 3 months or 6 months or whatever? I think those are like really good check-in questions to see, okay, is that really a purchase that I'm making for myself to make myself feel joyous now or in the long run? Or is it like, do I need it to prove something? Like you mentioned, Amanda, with the self-worth. Yeah.
That's Stephanie. Wow. Big question. Big question that you just threw out there. And yeah, it's so true. I just got, I don't know, have either of you read The Psychology of Money?
Mm-mm.
No.
I feel like I might have read this.
Maybe.
Yeah,
It's like one of the biggest, it's like one of the biggest like personal finance books, like books on money. And it's a great read. It's not as great as like The Happy Pocket Full of Money that's right here on my shelf. Like that's my favorite money book. But Psychology of Money is pretty good. And he talks in the book, there's a chapter on, you know, like okay, so for example, like one of the things that I really want right now that I see and I'm like, I need that. I want a Corvette. Okay.
put it out there.
I want a Corvette. And but it's funny because I want the Corvette kind of more for like selfish reasons of like, oh, I want to look cool in the Corvette, you know? And so it's got that, this is the conversation that we're having of like I've never ever like desired a Corvette. I've never even been that crazy about cars, but I see the Corvettes now, like the new ones, and I go, oh my God, that is the sexiest car I've ever seen, and I need it. And I know that my motive for wanting that car is because I want people to look at my cool car. Like it's totally like vain and surface level in terms of like my motive for wanting this Corvette. And then I was reading in The Psychology of Money. There's a chapter, and one of the stories in the chapter is the author, he worked at one point as a valet in Beverly Hills. And so he got used to driving all of these fancy cars. And he goes, nobody notices the driver of the car. They're only paying attention to the car, you know? And so these people buy really flashy cars. And when you're driving by, and it's driving down the road, nobody's looking at who's in the car. They're just going, wow, that's a really sick car, And so it was a big, like, I had a big, like, oh, wow, like, nobody's going to really notice if I drive the Corvette. I still want the Corvette though, because it is a sick car and I really appreciate it. But, it made me go, okay, those materialistic things are not as important as we make them out to be, and like having the flashiest and the biggest and the baddest and the fastest or whatever, like it does come back to like recognizing you are worthy now, just as you are. Like you don't need the stuff to validate your worth. You don't need the stuff to show the world, that you're cool. Just like for me, like I don't need the Corvette to tell people that I'm cool. I know I'm cool right now, even without the Corvette. But but it is that big thing, like what is our driver? What is our motivation for that? And I loved Stephanie's question was like, if I, 6 months from now, would I still really value this? And I had to laugh at this because over Christmas I bought myself a Coach bag, like this really nice Coach tote bag. And it's literally like sitting on my floor in my room right now. I don't ever use it. I don't ever take it out. But in that moment, when I saw it in the store, I was like, oh, I have to have this bag and I must, get it because I want to take it out and show everybody how beautiful it is. And I'm like, I carry around a backpack, because a backpack in reality is more practical than this designer bag that I bought, and it's like that. It's so funny. Our motivations for stuff.
This is bringing up something super interesting, because this is when I always get like shopping paralysis. And that means that I, for example, say, okay, I want a new purse, right? Like a crossbody bag or whatever. And then I'm thinking, okay, I have my dog most of the time, so it needs to be a bit bigger, needs to be practical, some stuff needs to fit in there. But then I also want it to look really nice. I don't always want to like carry around those like sporty looking bags. Like sometimes it's nice to just, dress up, have the accessory, like Amanda mentioned with the glasses. So then, of course, my list of demands for just one freaking bag.
It's gotta have it all.
It's so impossible high. So sometimes I go online and I just look on some websites, okay, looking for like the perfect bag. And of course, I never find it. And I find like some bags that are, those look nice, or this one's really cute. But then it costs like a lot of money and it's not fulfilling the needs that I have to have a bag. And then I just stop. So that's shopping paralysis for me. So that in a way it's good because it's it's not as expensive as someone who just goes crazy and buys all the 10 bags that she sees along the way. So I would say at least that I've got covered,
Shopping paralysis, that is a great term. Like, who suffers from shopping paralysis?
Yeah,
Amanda,
definitely.
have you ever experienced that where you're just so overwhelmed in it's like, I don't know what decision to make here?
Yeah, for me, that comes from not so much clothing or accessories, because I'm like, I'm just gonna buy them all. Hence the large collection of glasses. I'm like, I'm just, today I'm just gonna buy one, and I walk out with 3. So it's somewhat like I can't make a decision, so I'm just gonna like choose all of them. But I think for me, the biggest shopping paralysis comes from shopping for like furniture, like large pieces of furniture. So like a dining room table or like a couch, like those things for me, I'm like, I want it to look like this, and I want it to have like, to function this way. Especially like the dining room table. Oh my gosh. It's like I want it to have a pedestal because when you stretch out ones that have legs, like, and it has to be extendable. And when you have the ones that have legs, then when you put someone at the leg, then they can't sit underneath the table. Like, so it's like a whole like thing, and it's a big purchase, right? Like some of these tables are thousands and thousands of dollars, and so I'll find one. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Oh, but it doesn't have. Oh, that's nice, but like it's missing this, or So yeah, I totally get that.
Well, I think it's really smart. I think shopping paralysis could be like a very good thing to have because it makes you really intentional with what you're purchasing. I mean, that idea of really thinking about, okay, is this functional? Does this fit what I need? Am I going to use it? Like, is it multi-function, is it multi-purpose, meaning that I can dress it up, I can dress it down? It's not just about like quality, but it's also about functionability. And I think that, so many things right now are made so cheap. They're made like it's mass produced, like it's all cookie cutter crap that comes in from, all over the world. And, it's just stuff, versus when you do find the right product, you do find the dream dining room table, you do land on the bag that's like, oh, this is the best bag I've ever bought. It's that there's a lot of joy in that, and there's a lot of celebration in that, and there's a lot of like love that goes into that versus like a product that you just buy just to buy, and then it ends up, a month later in the Goodwill pile, like in the donation pile, ready to go, to the thrift store or something like that. And like there is, I just think overall we have to be more intentional, just more intentional about stuff, about consuming, about like just everything, like what we're wearing, how, what we're buying, what we're eating, what we're consuming, like just consuming, like we have to be more intentional about that.
Mm. And also what I'm thinking right now is that just coming back to having all these choices, that I'm wondering that a couple of decades ago, probably this conversation that we are having right now didn't exist because there weren't that many choices. So what you were describing, Amanda, with the dining room table, for example, is something that where people, I don't know, a couple of decades ago, they just went into a furniture store and they had like 5 tables to choose from, or maybe they would drive to the next town and they would just, okay, that's the one that fits best. We're going to take it. And I guarantee you that those families are just as happy as the families who have like a marble table, right? Like there's no difference. It just becomes this very treasurable piece of furniture in your home, because I was just thinking about like the perfect thing, right? Like where is that coming from? And for me, it's coming from, I had those things. Like I remember, it's gonna sound so silly. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I had the perfect pair of jeans. Do you know this? Do you know this experience?
Yes.
I had the perfect pair of jeans, perfect fit for every occasion. It was like my black dress kind of situation. And then of course they ripped at a spot where it was, beyond repair. So do you know how sad this was? It's like I really had to mourn these pair of pants. And of course, ever since, every pair of pants that I try on is like, does it feel the same as that one? Like, I'm like looking for like the next perfect one. And I'm wondering, when I bought the perfect pair of jeans back then, if I considered it that, I put it on, it fit right away. And I thought, ooh, that's nice. And I'm going to buy it. But then over time, it just became the perfect pair of jeans, So I would say that most things that I really, really treasure now, when I bought them, they weren't the thing. They kind of became that along the journey.
I'm kind of starting to see like almost, and maybe there's more. My initial thoughts are almost as if there's different categories of stuff. Like the stuff. So far, I don't know, I have 3. Maybe there's more. I don't know what you guys think. But so far, I've got 3. So the stuff I want, the stuff I need, and the stuff I love. The stuff that you like.
They can overlap, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Would you guys add anything else? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, okay, so the stuff I want, the stuff I need, and then the stuff that I love. I think I think there's one more, like, I think there's one more category of the junk stuff. It's like the stuff that we purchase that we think, oh my God, I'm totally gonna use this, and then it's still sitting in the box,
The impulse buys.
it's like the impulse buys. It is that It's like, oh, I'm at the store and this was cute, and so I'm gonna throw it in, and then you know, 6 months later you're going through your closet and you're like, where did this come from and why are the tags still on it? Or you open the drawer and you're like, when did I get this thing? And I never use this. Like, that's the junk stuff. And I think, there are, it's I like Amanda's list here of like the things you want, the things you need, and then the things you love. It's totally okay to have things that you want, things that you desire. It's great to have that dream list of like, but again, I think it's making it's going deeper, I think, with those desire lists to go, okay, is this like why do I desire this? Why do I want this so bad? Is it like, come back to the Corvette? Is it because like I want to look cool? Or, you know, I now I have like this mentality of like, no, I want to drive real fast. Like, I like driving fast and it would be fun. It would be fun. Like, that car would just be fun. It would be a toy. And but like really, really like getting clear on, is this really for me, or am I trying to impress other people? Am I trying to make a statement with this for others versus making a statement for yourself, And that's where we get really, that's where it gets scary, because a lot of our motivations are I'm going to buy this because I want to show up, my friend, or I want to show off to family members or whatever. And it's like, does it really matter? Do their opinions really matter?
I want to make it even scarier.
Please.
This thought just came to me. I really like this idea also. Things we want are things that we haven't bought yet, but may do in the future, right? Things we love are items that we have, and we're just like, yay. And then the things that we need is like, we need clothes, but then clothes could be something, I think, where we could also love those things. Because there's so much self-expression that comes with those kinds of items. But then there's needs like, need to buy food. That's an essential too. So what came to me as we were talking about this was, what's the relationship that you have with the things in your possession right now? Because that, I think, is a good determination of how you're going to relate to the new items that are maybe on your wanted list. So I think that when we, I don't know, just look around our house or think about our house or our car that we have right now and ask ourselves, okay, how did I even get to the place of having that? And what's my relationship with it? Like, do I like my place? Do I treasure it? Is it like a palace? Do I treat it like a palace and I'm like the queen and, or is it like, oh yeah, I have this crappy apartment, it's really small and I don't like it and I'm meant for more. It's like the attitude you have towards the things that you have already, I think also says a lot about our like consumerism behavior.
I would also say that if you're struggling with this, or if you're trying to figure this out, like, what is your relationship to your stuff? Try moving. And I'm not suggesting that everyone go and move, but I'm just saying, like, I've moved a lot. And so whenever I move, I feel like there's like this purge of stuff, and it suddenly, like, I didn't realize I had accumulated all of these things because something's tucked in that closet and tucked in that closet and under that bed. And, all of these things, we don't see all this stuff. But when you go to move, you really start noticing how much stuff you have and how much stuff. So there was a year that we had sold house and we were between like homes. And so a lot of stuff was in a storage. Well, in that entire year, I never touched anything from that storage. But yet when I moved in to the new house, I moved in all that stuff from the storage as if I needed it all. But it was in there for a year and I didn't miss it. I was fine without it, right? But there's some stuff that I was pulling out. I'm like, oh, I forgot I had that. And like, it was the joy. It was like, oh yeah, like that's exciting. I want to use that. But really, there was even some stuff that got thrown in the garbage because it was, I don't even need that anymore. I haven't seen it in a year. I haven't used it in a year. Let's just get rid of it. And I think, again, not that I'm suggesting that everybody just put their house for sale and go moving, but for me, I think that experience, and I think for a lot of people, they really realize how much stuff they have when they start having to move, because you got to put everything into a box. You're not going to leave everything there. And then you start seeing the boxes piling up and you really see all of your stuff in one spot. How much stuff you actually have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you start getting rid of things and the boxes start getting heavy. So you're like, do I really need this one? Do I need that stuff in it? I don't know if you guys have had a similar experience with moving, or I don't know, what are your guys' experiences in that sense?
Well, okay, this is a great point, and it kind of parallels off of what Stephanie's saying, which is like the relationship and how do we keep our stuff, because how many of us have like boxes like packed away and shoved in the back of the closet or like in the garage of like, oh, I might need this someday, and it's been like 12 years since we've looked at it.
Someday hasn't come yet.
I don't think if it's been in the back collecting cobwebs for 12 years, I don't think we're ever going to need that. I don't think we're going to need that box, and this conversation around stuff and all of the material things that we own, moving is really cool, because when I moved to Chicago, I moved with 2 suitcases and a backpack, and it was the most freeing that I had ever experienced. It was the most I was like, this is great. There's nothing that I owned. But then when I moved back from Chicago, it was crazy. I had collected so many things. I had bought like a couch, I had bought a bed, I had bookshelves, and all of these things that I ended up selling, and I ended up letting go. I ended up having to let it go. And Amanda said, move, but you don't actually have to move to have this type of experience, this experiment. Again, when I went down the minimalist rabbit hole that I've gone down in the past, one of the exercises that they have in minimalism is to literally pack up your stuff and put it in the garage, and then over the course of 30 days only unpack the things that you're needing, that you use on a day-to-day basis. And so you obviously start with the big things like your couch, your few appliances, some pots, some pans for cooking and whatnot, but any of the stuff that is left over after 30 days, a lot of that stuff is that, oh, maybe we really don't need this anymore, because in reality, we only use the same things over and over. And I, Francesca in our comments here, hey, Francesca, I hope you're having a great day today. She said, I love my things, LOL, but I'm not too attached. And that's great that you're not too attached, because I live with my grandma who is very attached to things. And we now have an issue of generational collections. We have stuff. We have stuff that goes back for generations that are I don't even know if I would consider them family heirlooms, because it's
Just a collection of stuff.
It's like a stack of papers from the 60s is not a family heirloom, you know? I'm sorry, that's clutter, you know? There are some sentimental things and whatnot, and I think that's another like layer to add to this conversation is like the sentimental items, you know? I do have I have a little treasure box of like just stuff from over the years that like mean a lot to me that I can't throw away. And it's like my little memory box, it's my treasure box. But like, you know, there's some stuff like I have an uncle who literally his whole basement is full of papers that date back 40 years now, 40, 50 years. And I'm like, I don't think we need to keep that record anymore. Like I'm pretty sure that could be trashed. And but that's what happens. And you know, I look at, you know, being at my grandma's house and seeing all of this stuff. And I always say, and this is a little bit morbid, but I always say like when she passes, I can't wait to get a big dumpster and just start throwing stuff away, like just getting it out of the house because there's also a release there. And I think this is like I think we're probably coming to an end here soon with this conversation, but like, you know, I think this maybe came up because it's spring and we're stepping into like spring cleaning season, and maybe that's been on my mind, which is what sparks this conversation. But like this is a good opportunity now with spring cleaning to let go of some of those things that like you don't really need anymore. And I'm just looking around like my office because, you know, Stephanie had that question about like, how did all of this stuff get here? And like, what is your current relationship with everything around you? And I'm like, yeah, a lot of these are just like little tchotchkes and little like trinkets and things like that like they just collect dust at this point, you know? I don't use probably 80% of the stuff that's in this office right now. And that's crazy. So I got to get to spring cleaning. That's where my head's going now.
That's also the last piece I wanted to throw in, this like clutter and what it does, that it clogs up our brains. Like it's mental energy that is being used for no reason every day. And I'm doing this actually right now. So I have a storage unit in our basement here from the apartment building I live in. And I don't know, I will probably end up throwing away 90% of what's in there. So what I do about every week or every other week, I go in there, I take a box, I bring it upstairs, and then I just like sort through it. And again, like so much of it I just throw out. And every time I do, like a couple of weeks ago, I found boxes from like old relationships. Like, have you done this before where you're ending it with a partner and you have this box of all the momentums and like all the cute hearts and like, you know, wilted roses and whatnot? And I just like dumped it and I let it go. And I thought, thank you for serving me like somewhat 10 years ago. And now it's bye-bye. And it felt so good. I felt mentally so freed up. And also with like this other junk stuff that I'm not using, and knowing that this storage unit gets like emptier and emptier over time, I just feel so happy about it. So yeah, I just also wanted to highlight this like mental aspect of decluttering, how freeing this can be. It sounds so silly, but it does move us so much in like our mental capacity.
Yeah. Yes. And to Julie, who's been commenting, yes, spring cleaning challenge. Absolutely. Anyone? Absolutely. We are doing the spring cleaning challenge. Like that is a go 100%.
Absolutely. And I love that, Stephanie, you just brought this up too, because I was like, move. And then Tyler says, put everything in the garage. And these are all great ideas, right? And they're huge. And so I love when, Stephanie, you were saying, just one box. It can just be one box at a time. It could be one shelf. It could be one corner. It could be, it doesn't have to be everything all at once, right? Sometimes it's just the smallest of just getting started. And then it's one box today and one box next week and maybe 2 boxes in a month. It doesn't have to be everything all at once, but this really does free up so much environmental clutter, but the mental clutter. Yes, I just want to echo that because it really does. It makes such a difference. And when we are aware of, well, what connection do I have to this stuff? What does it mean to me? Do I appreciate it? Am I grateful for all this stuff? Or is it just, I'm just accumulating for no reason and I don't even know why? Mm-hmm. So I definitely think spring cleaning is underway for everyone, for sure.
Yeah. I think my final thoughts here as we're wrapping this up is like there's power in letting go. There's power in releasing stuff, letting it go, getting it, changing up. And there is an energetic change too. Like I love spring cleaning because usually I'll rearrange my room or, I'll do it's a deep clean. And it's so cleansing to kind of let that go. And not only do you feel more free, but as Amanda was saying, the mental chatter, I have way too many things in my head already that I don't need to worry about all of the stuff up that, all of the stuff, all of the noise. And it's another thing too is this isn't just physical stuff that we're talking about. This is also digital. How many email lists are you subscribed to that just clutter your inboxes? And how many people are you following on social media that don't bring you joy, when you see their content and you're just like, why am I following them? The digital declutter is also, I'm not going to add to this conversation, but it's not just physical stuff, it's digital too, that we have to be mindful of now that we live in such a abundant world where we have so many streaming and so many, all the noise. We have to not only do a physical cleanse, but we also need to do a digital cleanse. And I think both of those will kind of free up some of that weight that we're all carrying around. So
yeah, I think the digital cleanse, we can talk about this a whole other
maybe
episode.
Hey, tune in next week when we talk about digital detox. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but yeah.
For today, I would say in the spirit of letting go, we will let our wonderful audience go. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for watching and participating. And let us know in the comments whether you're watching this now or later on YouTube or wherever you found us. Let us know in the comments if you have some really cool spring cleaning tips to share with everyone. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Come As You Are, the podcast. You can follow the show on Instagram at Kaya the Podcast and on YouTube and Facebook by searching Kaya the Podcast. If you haven't already done so, please help us keep the conversation going by subscribing, rating, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. And be sure to join us next time for another deep conversation.